So we are going into a bit of a family meeting, probably at the end of each year. We give you guys a bit of a heads up as to where we are and what we've got planned and what's coming up. But because the next 18 months are so massive in our calendar, we thought that maybe we should do like a mid-year one, which is what this is. Now, I am more than happy to answer some questions. Now, if you want to ask us any specific questions about BHN and what we're doing and where we're going, then put them in the chat. We don't need to do super chats for it, but maybe you can do something like an AMA and ask me anything like at the start. So it's easier for us to find if anyone's got any specific questions. And maybe Chewie, even though I'm kind of going to be talking a lot, you can keep a look on that, but we should still converse in this. So I want to show you where BHN is right now. Now, at the end of last year, you'll remember we grew in viewership and numbers that in the month of December, we did the same number of views that we did all of 2023. So it was quite a big growth. We've actively said for 2025, our focus is not so much on growing that way, like growing views, it's growing this way. We're looking for content and having more content. Yeah, we're getting fatter. And that's, you see that in, locked out, and you see that in the front line. Before we do anything, I haven't actually done this yet tonight. We do have to, as a part of this meeting, say a huge congratulations to Dr. Gary Pienda, who yesterday had the #1 medicine podcast in the country with the front line with Dr. Gary Pienda. And I don't know if you're aware of this, but during a long weekend when we launched Locked Out, Craig's Locked Out got to the #2 spot of all news. So like there's New Zealand news, and then there's like news commentary, which is where we're in. So this is the big, and we've seen Locked Out up to #2, which is immense. If you look at somebody, look, like there's BBC below him. It's an immense place to be at #2 for all of that. So the plan for us is not to grow that way. I mean, we'll take it, but to grow this way. And I have at least one other podcast, which I can't divulge yet, which we're actively talking through. I would like by the end of this year to have BHN, the front line, Locked Out, and a yet to be confirmed, still talking about podcasts. So we're growing our base. Next year at the Podcast Awards, I want us to be all over them, not just BHN. I want there to be BHN in there. I want there locked out in there. I want, so I'm growing. We're growing our base for that. So let's have a look at exactly where we are right now. So this is the last 28 days. And there's been higher ones and there's been lower ones. I'm going to take that chat off just before we got this on, just to make it a bit easier. So this is Facebook. Facebook gets about 370,000 views a month to about 90,000 people. This is the TikTok channel, 175,000 views to about 14,000 people. This is Twitter. Twitter gets 69,000 views.
Nice.
Twitter doesn't tell you how many viewers you've got. And the YouTube channel got about 315,000 views to about 80,000 viewers. There's also Twitch. There's also LinkedIn. There's also the audio podcasts, which get about 20,000 downloads a month. But just what you're looking at here is 930,000 views to over 200,000 viewers. Now I've just given 20,000 to that. I don't know how many officially it goes on YouTube. So we're basically, if you include now on top of that 930 Twitch, and you include on top of that the audio, it's 1 million. So we're 1 million monthly views to over 200,000 people. We can't give you the exact numbers with people because some of the platforms don't give out numbers watching, others do. So that's cool, yeah? 1 million a month, Chewie. Happy with that. I know that compared to some other podcasts or some other YouTube channels in particular, it's not huge. We've just got up to about 18,500 subscribers on YouTube. So we're getting close to that 20,000. We only need to get another 80,000 to get our little thing to put over our shoulder behind us. That's all, just another 80,000 to get to 100,000. But the reach and the cut through we're getting is significant compared to, I know Kiwis like to do a per capita kind of thing. But we talked about this yesterday. The New Zealand Herald the New Zealand Herald YouTube channel has 185,000 subscribers, and their morning show, which is their big Herald News, gets about 5,000 views per episode.
Yes.
We've got 18,500 subscribers, and we get 3 to 5,000. Been about 3,000 the last week or so. So they've got 9 times the number of subscribers, and they get about 60%, 70% more views per episode. So we certainly punch above our weight, without question at all. Anything you want to speak to that, Chewie, before we kind of keep going? But just gives people a heads up on where we are.
No, let's crack on.
We also want to talk to you about next year in 2026. By the way, there is a huge amount more that we are not going to get to tonight, but to give you an idea. So for 2026, obviously there's an election, unless Winston decides he wants to have one this year. We want to do a focus on Waitangi Day. We want to do more meetups and stuff around the country like we did in Auckland a few weeks ago. And we want to do more live podcasts on location. The live podcast on location might end up being, we go to an area where there is a particularly good battle for a seat during the election and do a live podcast out of that location with guests along, maybe a debate, maybe a round table, that sort of thing. We want to broadcast from Waitangi for the whole week of Waitangi. And as I said, we want to run a live road show leading up to the election debates, interviews, roundtables, etc. And we want to engage with more Kiwis live. We've got some ideas and stuff for sort of on-the-street content, ongoing on-the-street content, like you'd see on other channels, getting opinion from people on the street, packaging them up and putting them out as clips and that kind of stuff as well. What do we want to do next? I think that one. So this is what we are putting out there for tonight for you guys to figure out, to decide what you want to do. With all those numbers you heard to do with our viewers and numbers of videos viewed, we've done this once before and we've talked to a few people, but we think it's time again now to maybe have a look at the idea of advertising or sponsorship. Now, it's really, really, really important to me that, and this line here says it here, we'll only ever work with groups that align with our ideologies. And it's really, really important for us and for you, because I know you'll hate this to turn into, 7 ad breaks an hour, that whatever we do has to keep the look and feel of what we have now, so as not to put you guys off, and also to keep this special thing that we've got going on. But I am in the process of drawing up 2 documents. One of the documents is to give to potential advertisers and sponsors, and the other one is to give to potential patrons. So there's 3 things you can do for us. The first is connect us to businesses. If you have a business, if you run a business, if you know a business, you can email us through the weekend, bighearingnews@gmail.com, and we'll send you back some information that you can hand to someone. Now, it's going to be a little sales sheet, so it's not even necessarily like you have to be intimately involved. You can just be our salespeople. You know a place that you think kind of aligns with who we are. Tell them about us, give them a way to connect to us, and we'll talk. And I thought the same for patrons. Like, if you are a patron of us, why don't you try and find a buddy, find a fellow patron, find someone that you want to, or maybe that doesn't know about us, that might want to invest some time and some patronage into a little show looking to grow, the little show that could. And the other thing that you guys can do is connect us to your local communities, especially in the lead up to the next election. Magenta and I at the moment are in the middle of a conversation around a Facebook group with a slightly different edge to the Discord group, but a way that we can connect to you guys, but also that you guys can connect to one another. Chewie, I want you involved in this conversation because I'm doing it a lot. So I'm going to ask you to share now, Chewie. I know that you
That's
know
because
that
you're the brains of the
and the looks.
You had the focus to do documents and the strategic planning.
Tell the people when we were in Auckland at that meetup, right? Tell the people what we kind of saw when we realized that there was this group of people in Auckland who all of a sudden were connecting to one another. I don't know if it fired off a thing in your head like, oh, but to me it certainly did. Tell us about your experiences watching BHNers interacting with other BHNers, because that's sort of the idea for this Facebook Discord group we're talking about.
It's something that, I mean, we've said this before. The thing that's really caught us by surprise with BHN is the community that sprung up against it. The people that pop up in the chat for the lives every single night and interact with each other. The people in the Discord, the people in our Facebook comment sections, whether it's live or not. Because the community is really, really solid. What we saw in Auckland when we gave people a reason to get together was that in the real world, meet space, networking. And as much as seeing people connect in the chat and talking to each other, and obviously the name recognition that you all have, that feeling of community is 10 times more when you get together, when you know the people in your area. It's more real, and that's a line through. Yes, the meat space. We're made of meat. You're in the space where your meat exists, whereas online there's no meat. So the meat space. So I think you thought I was talking about MEET. No, I'm talking about MEAT.
You're a
So
special
I think
boy,
that
Chewie.
aspect, as we got together and people started connecting and again, introducing yourselves with your real government issued names rather than your screen names. Once we got that all sorted, just people going, wow, this is just like the chat, but for real, we're in the same area. This is great.
Yeah.
And the through line that we have had every time we have asked a guest a question of like, how do we deal with these feelings of holy shit, it's all too much? The thing that came through is do something that benefits your area, no matter how big or small. But I think part of it is going, you live in the same area. You make those connections within what we have here in BHN and in the real world as well. And I think that has huge benefits for the parties that we support or the causes that we support. And that is something that BHN definitely wants to be part of.
Yeah.
It's a core, I don't know, mission statement, for lack of a better word, for what we want to achieve in the next year. Now, Pat verbalizing the fact, like, intellectually, I know the election is next year. The verbalizing it and saying, oh yeah, the election's next year, and that's involved in the planning that we're doing now, is a bit of a holy shit moment for me right now.
Well, it's
Like, we want to do the Waitangi thing. We want to have as much impact on the election as we possibly can.
Yeah. It's July. Like, in 5 minutes, it's going to be Christmas. And then 2 minutes after that, it's going to be March of next year in full regalia for getting ready for an election, should it all go to time, like it be on time. I'm already having conversations with people at Waitangi about Waitangi, because one things I think we do is this is my full-time job, right? I do probably 60 hours, maybe more now, a week on this, plus the other podcasts. And because it's just me and I'm just working in my little room here, sometimes I'm a little bit unstructured and I miss things. And so I've been determined not to miss Waitangi. So I've already booked accommodation at Waitangi for next year. So I did that like the week after we got back. We
tried to throw something together in way too short a time.
Yeah.
This year. So we're not cooking that up. Like the one thing, I've never been to Waitangi. And if there's something that has become more clear to me with the issues that we've been dealing with over the last 2 years, is that it is such a core, important thing of what this country should be.
Yeah.
And I want to go there and I want to experience it.
We've got ideas for Waitangi, not talking out of school because we don't know, but about broadcasting from the ground somewhere if we can. If we can't, we can do that from an Airbnb. We've got ideas about having a stall there. I mean, we've got produce Produce, that's food. Product, we've got merch. You know, we could do that. So we've got lots of ideas going on at the moment. But the most important thing, it's like just booking in and being there. A couple of other things. I'm going to go back to my my thingy now. About the businesses in particular. If you were to talk to a radio station that had 200,000 listeners a month, I know what you would pay for advertising. It would be tens of thousands a month, certainly thousands a month, but probably more like tens of thousands a month. We in New Zealand, unfortunately, because of NZME and MediaWorks, who are taking the advertising dollar for podcasting, and they're selling it to businesses like it's radio advertising. So the whole media space needs to be educated how podcasting advertising is supposed to work. I know you guys watch the international guys. I know you guys watch, well, I was going to say the Vanguard, they don't do advertising, but like the David Packmans and that kind of stuff, and how they do it there and how it's supposed to be done and how it works best. We have to educate an audience first. So we are fully prepared to do some real big mates rates for the rest of this year, because what we need to do is both prove our model, which we know is going to work, to then be able to do it properly in 2026. 2026, there'll also be some pretty big opportunities for sponsorship and that. You know, if we do a road trip to Waitangi, sponsored product. If we do debates, I'm sure the Free Speech Union will be knocking on our door, Chewie, wouldn't you think, to do some debates? Maybe not. I remember that about aligning with our ideology.
BHN election debate brought to you by Jordan's fursuit. No thanks. Look. And just to acknowledge that, there's a few people in the chat that are obviously concerned about the talk about sponsorship. There is nobody that wants to be more cautious about that than me. This is our little baby. We're not going to be hawking Vessi shoes or Raycons or something like that. The potential sponsors that we've talked to before, stuff like e-bikes and luxury pies. We're simple people with simple tastes.
But look, let's throw this out there now. The way we don't go down that path is we have to generate a huge amount of income ourselves without advertising. Now, we're in a small marketplace. Like Kyle Kalinske doesn't ever, he one of his quote lines is, I've never talked to an advertiser. He's got like, I don't know what it is, someone can look it up, but it's like tens of thousands, maybe 18 or 20,000 patrons. And they might only pay $2 a month, but that gives him $35,000 a month to run his thing. It's when you're in a big market, that kind of stuff is easy. When you're in a small market, it's not as simple. I mean, in all reality, for us to be able to continue doing this, forget the next 18 months, because I think we're on board. But beyond that, we need to probably, if we weren't going to do advertising or sponsorship, we would probably need to double, if not triple, the Patreon, as in the numbers. And it's currently at about 450. So we'd probably need 12 to 1,500 patrons, and then we'd be fully independent, wouldn't have to worry about advertising, yada, 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 yada. Because in the ideal world, what we're doing is, and I think I can say this, Chewie, but we'd like to be doing this both full time. And that's just not possible at the moment because, there's bills to pay. Them bills there is to pay. So just finally on this.
I think we both mentioned this. Pat, this is a full-time job for Pat. I am a full-time worker elsewhere. This is a passion project for me. And the next step as BHN grows is I start ramping down my real-world job. I do less and less hours. Yeah. And I start pulling more weight here. The other question that quite often gets asked is what the best way to support us is. We've talked about super chats and super stickers and all of that sort of stuff. The single best way to support the work that we do is Patreon. And the single best way to support us in Patreon is not necessarily come in with a fucking hiss and a roar and a big dollar donation. It's consistency. It lets us plan.
Yeah.
So if it's a case of like you going, well, I'm not going to do any super chats or see how much I spend on super chats and I'm going to turn that into a Patreon commitment, do that. That helps enormously.
Yeah. And look, let me also say, I think this is our kind of co-op here. This is not a hard sell. I'm not looking
No.
to wake up tomorrow morning and have 30 new patrons. We're just sitting back going, this is where we are. If we want to get here, these are the things that we need to do. So just to finish off this thing about the businesses and stuff, email us, bighearingnews@gmail.com. If you are a business or you want to know more about it. Look, we've done this once before. We had some lovely chats with lovely people, and it never really panned out, which was fine. Part of that might be because of me. I'm so busy that sometimes things slip to the wayside. We'll talk more about that in a second. But yeah, I would rather work with a business now where it's a win-win, where we kind of help them and they help us. Is that kind of vibe to test the model, than to be all hard-assed, oh, it's this much per month, and if we don't give you, because it's going to need to be something that gets tested. The other thing that we could also do, and I'd be perfectly happy, again, bighearingnews@gmail.com, for you guys to tell us about it, is to move to a model of also membership, YouTube membership. Now, mostly YouTube membership works like this. For the live streamers, the live stream is always free and available. So if you're watching live, it's always free and available. And then it goes behind the paywall, the membership paywall. So if you're someone who watches live every single night, nothing you have to worry about. If you're someone who wants to pay $3.99 a month to be a YouTube member, then you get access to the live stream 24/7, anytime you want. Also, what would normally happen with that idea is, some of the clips would be members only, some would be open and free. I've kind of thought maybe what we'd do is make the longer clips members only, and then when I break it down to those 2 and 3 minute clips, they might be a free for all for anybody. I haven't worked that out yet. I'm not even saying that's going to happen, but it's another idea that might enable us to get there, which gives us a chance now to move into, this is the last part of the conversation. So income streams via patrons, via advertising or sponsorship, via YouTube memberships, and of course the merchant subscriptions. As Chewie has said, this is what I wanted to say about this is not a hard sell. People who are already patrons, I want you to spend the weekend thinking, can I commit to the next 18 months? So already people who are giving us $8 a month, I want you to go, can I commit to the next 18 months? Because as Chewie said, I want to be able to plan Waitangi Day, and the way I do that is based on Patreon. Merch is fantastic. Merch is a great earner. It's a good profit margin, but we do put a lot of hours into it. But it's sporadic, it's in and out. We have a big push for something, and then we have nothing for a couple of weeks. So that's what it is. And the other thing we need to do is generate more people hours to free up me to grow BHN and Align products. That's the locked out front line and new things on the way. I'm not looking for volunteers, by the way. So don't get me wrong with that. I don't want to get a bunch of emails going, I'll help out. I am looking to either hire an editor or to find an intern. I'm in the process of talking to some intern companies about finding someone who can be involved with us more regularly to take some of the editing weight away from me. Because at the moment, I probably am editing for 4 to 6 hours a day, say 4 hours a day. And then I'm prepping for the show for a couple of hours a day. And then I'm doing the show for a couple of hours. So basically editing and the show, there's already 8 hours per day. That doesn't include Gary's work. That doesn't include Craig's work. That doesn't include talking to Waitangi. That doesn't include trying to figure out our website. And here's something else for you. We had conversations going on about a website, and we had someone who took the lead on the website. And I hope everything's okay, but they've fallen off the face of the planet. So I need to look and regenerate how we're going to now build a website and what we're going to do about that. So this is what we're needing to do. If we had double the Patreon, and we're not going to do it, I'm not asking you to do that tonight, I would just hire an editor and tell them what to do and get them to do the clips and stuff. And then that would free up 4 hours a day for me to be speaking to Waitangi, to be organizing guests, to be planning, to be doing those other things that are helping us grow. And so that's where we're at.
Like a great example that I had today, right, is I had someone reach out and go, hey, BHN's interviews with the local Dunedin mayoral candidates was really good.
Yeah.
Is Pat planning to do that again?
No.
And I'd love him to, because it's local politics is so important as well, but it is a massive time suck. To give you an example, that like each of those interviews was an hour,
hour and a
with
half.
everyone that hour and a half that was for everyone that was standing for mayor, or almost everyone.
Almost everyone.
And yeah, it's enormously important, but it's a massive time suck as well.
Yeah. No, and look, that comes back to one of the questions I've already seen in the start. What about the Leftist Collective? It's just time. Like when I started up the Leftist Collective, what I really wanted to do was have a group of us that were going to take ownership of it. But it became very clear very quickly I had to run it. And I'm actually okay with that. I just, the last 3 months, I haven't had the time. And to be honest, I haven't had the time. And so I think, do I now want to fill up Sunday as well and then do another show on Sunday night? Or do I want to spend time with my kids and my wife? And I'm sorry, Leftist Collective.
I mean, his kids and his wife, they're all right.
So that's where we're at. We're doing really well, guys. We're in a really good space right now. It's really exciting to see these other products coming out of it. Oh, and the other thing is we're going to change the name of the channel, just so you know. I'm not going to tell you what it is because some smart ass will come along and steal it. But we're going to change the name of the channel away from Doc Studios because it doesn't really make any sense anymore. I'm in the process of doing that.
Personally, can I say, thank fuck? Because do you know how much thought I have to say to have it's very clever, Department of Conversation, but I literally have to say it that way because I'll just go Department of Conservation. Oh no, that's not it. Okay, that's cool.
But like I said, the generating more people hours, we should have a BHN alone Blue Sky. We should have a BHN Instagram. We should have a BHN TikTok, not just a Pat TikTok. It's just not the hours. So it is what it is today. It is what it is. So thank you for listening. And this is my picture. Is that what we're supposed to say at the end of this? Something like that?
That is my story.
We're in a really good place. We're growing still. We're reaching. If you talk to Gary Payinda, he says he'll go along and he will get pulled up by someone in the supermarket and go, oh, I saw your thing the other day. It was really good. And he always said to them, where did you see me? Because he's on RNZ. And they pretty much always say BHN. Like I said,
nice.
that I ran into a guy from Waikato yesterday who was in Dunedin for 2 days with his daughter, Kent.
Actually, from that rally last night, one of the things that, a couple of people clocked me being there and going, oh, shit, are you Chewie from BHN? The thing that blew me away is it wasn't like I've been watching BHN for years or I've been watching BHN for the last 6 months. The people that I spoke to had just discovered BHN.
Yeah, well, that's the telling people.
Had just been introduced to it by friends and that sort of thing. And that was great because it means we're growing, and that's what we need to do.
Yeah, and look, I didn't kind of finish that thought about if you're currently a patron. Like, if you're currently a patron and you're looking at the next 18 months, and if you're going, things are a bit tight today, but I can probably do, like if you're on a $15 a month, but you think you could do an $8, just drop it. Drop to $8. I'd rather have you here at $8 for the next 18 months than $15 for 3 or 4 and then you go too much. Because that's, as Chewie said really clearly, that's the easiest place for us to plan. So I think that's all. Yep, like I've written down here as our investors. This is our corporate meeting because you guys are our investors. Basically, whether you're a viewer or a patron or a lurker or whatever, you're our investors, which is quite nice. I quite like the idea of not really having advertising and sponsorship, just because it feels really clean. Yeah. But the reality is, unless, for example, NZ on Air changed a model or we found some angel investor, but even with an angel investor, what happens normally is they'll support you for a couple of years, but then you have to be generating, and that still comes back to, in a small country, likely difficult to do it through merch and patrons. Maybe not impossible, but likely difficult. I mean, I would love for us to have 4 full-time people doing this work, and I'm not suggesting that's anytime soon, but that's what it is. So I've written that down, and I've written the website thing. Yeah. So I'm going to start all over again on the website thing, and that spare 9 seconds I've got each day to try and do it again, because that's falling over. It's just stopped. I've sent 2 or 3 emails to the person. I hope they're okay. There's no hard feelings or ill will. It's gone. Yep. So we'll start again, because that website could be the corner of locked out, and the Frontline, and BHN, and it could have an access to Discord there, and all these things could be. So where do we go from now? Oh, we go to this website and it's all there. Could have banners for advertising, yada yada yada. Anywho, we should rip through some of these questions. Chewie, other thing is, if you need to go, you can go at any stage, because I probably went longer there than I thought.
No,
but I want more mods.
This is my Friday. I'm all good.
Kiwi Skirt, email me. I know we had this conversation one before, and you suggested some people. Email us, and we will go from there. Easy, no problems. Done. Weekend shows.
Kiwi Skirts minions.
Weekend show, absolutely open to a weekend show. I'm not open to doing one, but I'd put it this way: with funding, becomes the ability to pay people, becomes the ability to say, hey, do you want to do 3 nights a week, Friday, Saturday, Sunday, or do you want to do Saturday, Sunday a week, or whatever? Completely open to all of those things. Completely open to it. I guess it doesn't necessarily have to go funding, because we all have volunteered doing this for quite a long time as well. But I know if something's going to be sustainable long term, there needs to be a paycheck in it. Like, no one would be doing this in 2, 3, 4 years from now if we couldn't somehow have some kind of financial benefit from it. Yeah. It just wouldn't happen. It wouldn't happen. I'm just being honest, Miss Gruffador really enjoyed Gary's chat about the census. Gary's pod is always good. Oh, thank you. Pass it around. Justin says, does girth mean election panel? I actually wonder, and I wonder out loud too much sometimes, and I'm probably being arrogant. We should be getting contacted by people like TVNZ and to be coming on their panels. Like, we should be making space for us, because we have a perspective that they don't have. But I think election panels are a perfectly good idea. There's also this ecosystem growing at the moment, whether it, and Chewie, you mentioned it, was it tonight? There's Mountain Tui, and there's Paul Barlow, and there's Bomber, and there's us.
I was just about to say,
yeah,
if we were to do an election panel or take part in one, I would love to see that be the panel.
And that could be that could be Paul a live
Barlow,
meetup.
Mountain Tui. There's a couple of other creators in the leftist space.
That could be a live stream.
I would love to see part of that.
I'm sorry, it could be a live stream. What I'm saying is a live event live stream. If you guys look online at the comedians on the End of the World podcast, when it was I think it was 2016 when Trump got elected, was all these comedians on a stage talking about the end of the world because Trump got elected on the night of him getting elected. Is it the same? Well, maybe, but yeah, totally. Loki's mum, what is the theme called to Gary's show? It's very catchy. I don't know off the top of my head, sorry. If you email me, Loki's mum, it's actually it's a produced piece of theme music that we paid for. So I can tell you what it is. If you email me, I can tell you what it is. I don't know what it is off the top of my head. Pat, we really need a podcast devoted to disability issues and a welfare space. Mental health, given so many of our whānau have issues. Yeah, totally open to it. Totally good with that. Totally be happy to drive something like that. I just need more people hours. That's what it comes down to.
I think just with that one as well, because that's a request that I've seen that needs more attention, that area of concern. I think when it comes from me, and I guess I'm speaking for Pat here as well, neither of us have experience in that world. And someone that's been involved with it would be a lot more impactful than me guessing what it's like.
But I'm totally open to making that part of our platform. I mean, Gary does the Gary stuff because he knows about the public health system. Craig does the Craig stuff because he knows about the money economic thing. Yep. Someone who knows the disability space, completely open to that. I'm just being honest with people now. I've got no ability to do that probably this year, unless some things changed and we freed up some Pat hours. If that happens, if I got an intern for 6 months and that happened, totally down for that. Totally down for building the base out more. Want to at least have 3 extras, 3 news. If that was 5 because there was time for it, totally. And when I say totally down for that, I'm saying yes, I'm in. There we go. So what do those YouTube numbers mean in actual dollars to you mean? Well, as a rough guide, for every million views on YouTube, it's worth about $2,000. That's a real rough guesstimation. So you can probably guess that would we get a third of that? So that might be 600-700 US dollars. It might be 1,000 New Zealand dollars. So it's not nothing. Don't get me wrong. I'm not complaining. We're doing something, but certainly if it was 1,000 a month, and I don't know if it's that, but if it was, that's 12 grand a year. That's still, you need a lot from YouTube to be paying full-time salaries, put it that way.
I think what a lot of people ask me when you're talking about whether YouTube or Patreon is the way to go. I think the thing there is that Patreon clips the ticket a lot less than what YouTube does.
It does.
A smaller percentage.
It's actually remarkably small, compared to what they could be. Yeah, YouTube takes about 30%. And look, maybe that's an idea for the future when we build the website. Maybe we have a supporter portal that goes through straight from bank to bank. Straight away, we've got 30% more.
That was something that I suggested a wee while ago as I saw, I guess, some of my creator friends, like Pepper Raccoon, moving from Patreon to their own bespoke website where there was nobody clipping the ticket.
Yeah. The problem with that, obviously, is Patreons are... Everyone knows Patreon. It's an easy platform to use. And so if you got to do something you're not used to, then so be it.
Yep.
Chewie, the mod workload for Kiwi Skirt is just increasing with the numbers. Burnout, please. Assistant required. Yep, we've got that and we'll do that. Absolutely. Paula says, how about QR code stickers for all of the shows, lockdown, etc. QR codes on merch? Yeah. I think the guys on Friday night have a QR code. Yeah, it's a good idea. Good one. Nice. Serious question. Could BHN get a serious person to attend press conferences to ask questions that other media might not? Leading up.
What do you mean serious person? Am I not a serious person?
The answer is absolutely yes. Do you want to say the single word that I've said 9 times tonight, Chewie, that it means? Funding. It's funding. Because if you're going to have a serious person to do it, they're not just going to be in one place. It's not just going to be someone who lives in Wellington, but they're going to have to actually go where they need to go. So yeah, funding. Pat, I've got contacts in the transport industry. I'll have a chat to them about them read Transport for Waitangi. Cool. Yep. If you got any ideas about that stuff, always throw them in. Will you shows, interviews, or deep dives by other people like Rogers? Look, I mean, Rogers did a really good deep dive a wee while back on Atlas, and it was really well received. And I think they're going to continue doing that. So yeah, look, totally open to that. I guess what BHN in its essence is, is reflecting the daily news. And I guess what Rogers did there was a deep dive on an issue. And that could be a segment to a podcast. That could be its own podcast. That could be something else. So there we go.
Yeah, and I the things with deep dives is that they take time.
Yeah,
and someone to have the time. I mean,
so it needs to be either a passion or a payment. And I'm not trying to sound like the old capitalist here, but that's just the reality, if that's what it's going to be. And I think we've got the hint, eh? More mods that stay in the chat for the show, please, Pat. Yeah.
Kiwi Skirt has lit the beacons. She calls for aid.
Email us, and I know you've done this before, I think on Blue Sky Chat, Kiwi Skirt. Just email me, and we'll talk about the suggestions you made and the people you made. Chewie, I think it's time for us to get out of here. Unless there's anything you want to add or anything that we don't want to leave short, any other chats or questions or anything in there?
No, I think that covers everything that's important.
We started this at about 20 past. I'm glad you guys stuck
around for this.
Yeah.
I'm glad you stuck around for this. I think it's important that you guys know where our head's at and what helps us and what we want to happen.
No doubt.
Nala is gone, so we must go now also.
Yeah, thank you for sticking with us. Thank you for being around. I'm always underestimating these things. I looked at the clock and went, it's 10:25. Man, we can probably just get out of here by 2:45 pretty easily. It's 11:05. So time to go. All right, guys, if you want to know more, if you think you've got a contact, if you want to be involved in any of those things we've talked about, bighearingnews@gmail.com. If you know that someone else may want to be involved, we'll put this whole thing up on YouTube, this whole conversation we're having right now, so you can just point them at that or whatever as well. And let's just keep going. keep on keeping on, people, and let's take over the world together. That's what I reckon, Chewie. Just small goals, like let's get to Waitangi, and then let's take over the world. Is that's it?
Look, I was gonna say build up a crew enough that we can roll into the New Zealand Radio Awards and steal Mike Hosking's fucking flask or
Wouldn't
something.
it be wonderful
And
if
then
next year we did
a
that
coup.
and we had 2 or 3 of us in those radio awards for our podcast, and then we did a meetup in Auckland when we came up there for all 3 of the podcasts, and these are the things I think about. So
Yep.
we can be New Zealand's podcast mummies and daddies if we work this out, and then they can be looking to us for how to do it. They kind of already are. We've heard things about behind the scenes. So I guess what I'm going is, if they're already watching us and looking to us, let's just own it. Let's just be the ones that they follow. And this is where we're going to leave it. I'll leave it at that. I think that's pretty much said it all.
Yep.
Let's be
Shut
the
it
ones, all of us, let's be the ones that the rest follow. Because low key they are at the moment anyway.